And we're back. The halls are somewhat quiet as expected. Everyone must be in club meetings or at festival preparations, or both. Shizune's words about being a slacker echo in my head. I feel a bit guilty about not contributing, but I seem to lack the resolve to do something concrete about the matter. For the festival, it's too late already, unless I count helping Shizune and Misha, which I naturally don't, and clubs. I don't know. Maybe I'm not a club type of person. Halfway through the way from the school building to the dorms, I spot a figure in front of the dorms. It's Rin. Looks like she's working on her mural today. Oh, there's color on it now. I walk over to her, but she doesn't seem to notice me approaching. She's sitting on an upturned box, looking intently at the wall she is painting with a brush held between her toes. The mural has progressed considerably since yesterday, but it's still only half done as far as I can tell. Well, why don't you help her out? More colors have appeared and the twisted human-like figures have spread in increasing number. I have to say, the style is quite eye-catching and very unique, not that I would be knowledgeable about art by any measurable scale, but it's very nice looking nonetheless. I clear my throat to get her attention, but not startle her so that her concentration won't break. Wait. She doesn't even try to check who it is. Oh, wait. "15 minutes later, I decide that her concentration is indeed unbroken, and also that I have waited long enough to warrant poking her gently on the shoulder to remind her of my presence. Rin turns her head mechanically to my direction, ending up staring at my crotch level. Oh, it's Shizao. She can tell? I would feel a lot less uncomfortable if she would look at my face. An astute observation, hard at work, I see. The conversation starts as if I hadn't been here for a quarter of an hour already, but it's not a concern, at least it starts. Looking good. It does. The layers of paint hiding other layers of paint, mixing and shaping the human figures really creates an impressive look, but Rin looks miffed. I've never seen that word. You shouldn't comment on works in progress. 7 years of bad luck. Sounds terrible. I guess I'll take it back then. Still, it looks good. I wonder if I get 14 years of bad luck for thinking that. Rin turns back to look at her painting and pokes it with a big toe. Could you mix some of this color? I'm running out of it. She looks down at a half-empty bowl with the remains of the same pinkish paint in it. I didn't really intend to stay and help her with this project, though. I guess I didn't intend to do anything much. I look at Rin. She looks emptily back at me. Just this once. Rin picks up another brush and drenches it in another tone of pale red. There are dozens of similar bowls all around her working area. From the looks of this scene, she could have been sitting there for hours. I wonder if she has. That would mean she'd have been skipping school, though, which I, of course, wouldn't put beyond someone like Rin. Wouldn't the paint have dried if it was out there all that time? I pour a little bit of white and red into the bowl, trying to match the color with the one already on the wall. I can't seem to get it right. It's really inconvenient for her not to mix enough in the first place. Getting it to be exactly the same tone will be impossible, but at least I can try and get it as close as I can. Speaking of hard work, isn't that a huge workload for you too? It's such a big painting and all. Oh, I'm not old and bitter enough yet to think like that. I guess you are. You guessed right. Legs hurt, though. They feel like slugs. Slugs made of sea slugs. Because of the position? Yeah, I like doing it in a horizontal position more, if you know what I'm talking about. But it can't be helped. Can't ask the wall to lay down. Saying that, she stretches herself a little, bending her legs and back far more than the human should flex. It's astonishing how effortlessly she manages her body around. There's a small flinch in her otherwise blank expression, a hint of pain maybe, as she stretches out her calves. Rin must have stamina and dexterity far above a normal person to be able to live like she does, but she's wearing out working on this. Why push yourself so much? Take a break or something at least. Continue tomorrow if it's bad. This gives her a pause. A long one too, feeling like a mental yawn. I don't think so, Izao. I'm not pushing myself. Sure looks like you are. No, it's not about pushing or pulling or anything related to that kind of thing. There's this boy. A boy? Yes. Where? At the art club. And? He is blind. Oh, how can you paint if you are blind? No idea. So why is he there? That's the point. He is there. She really should speak more than one word at a time to make this feel more like a discussion and less like an interrogation. You can't really do anything that you'd call art, right? But he comes there anyway and paints. Why? I don't know. Why? I don't know. That's why I asked. Why would I know? So? He doesn't paint often, but I think his paintings are very interesting. I'm sure they are. I once tried that, painting with eyes closed. Wasn't too interesting, cleaning up the floor took ages, didn't try again. But he's becoming better at sculpting. I see. Maybe she was trying to make a point with this, maybe she forgot she had one. Seems like the art club is full of interesting people. Not really. Pretty blunt statement, and she totally missed the sarcasm. No? Just like I said, they're not very interesting. I usually don't have much interest in people who are not interesting. Maybe you have. Maybe. But that boy is interesting. Maybe I am like that boy, or maybe you are, maybe everyone is. Doing things you can't do just because you can. That's pretty deep, I think, and tell that to her. You're a deep one. Nah, I'm a really shallow and thoughtless person. People say that to me all the time. Do you know I can only think of 4 things at the same time? No, but now I do. Right now I'm thinking of the second floor girls' toilet, ice cream flavored ice cream, not rice cream, ice cream, the middle toe, and a haircut. I'm going to need a haircut. She shakes her head around vigorously, letting her short and messy hair ruffle wildly around. I can see that doing it is something she likes to do. We fall silent as Rin treads around absent-mindedly, poking some brushes around. I thought about the art club sticks in my head for a while longer. Feeling like I'm treading on very unknown territory with art. The way these meetings with Rin go, it's as though I'm starting a smoking habit or something. I should probably stop talking with her. Oh, what? Why? Okay. It's not like I dislike her, despite the confusion her being herself causes. And I don't dislike art either. I've even drawn for fun sometimes. I just don't have a real creative drive or any technical skill. So usually if I were to draw something, I get white paper syndrome and just freeze completely. That or I manage to draw something disfigured and promptly get frustrated at my inability to put the picture in my head on the paper, and then call it quits without even trying to make an effort. That sounds exactly like me. Rin clearly doesn't have this problem, but she frustrates me in another way. Being with her is like looking into a mirror that doesn't reflect anything. Makes one question the sanity of the act. Rin sits down on her box, swaying from side to side, apparently comfortable with the uncomfortable silence. She's staring at me again, or maybe over my shoulder. I can't quite figure out where her eyes are focused on. I'm thinking of leaving so she can carry on working undistracted, and then I can do whatever I'm going to do alone. It's not like I have anything that must be done today. Oh, shoot. Who? Nobody. I just forgot to tell Hanako that Lilly was looking for her. Do you know her from my class? Oh, her, the mystery toilet girl. That person is funny. I saw her go into the toilet 5 times during one recess 3 weeks ago. I'm sure it's the world record. It was very mysterious. That's why you call her Mystery Toilet Girl? What other reason could there possibly be? Well, if there is, it's an eternal mystery. I didn't follow her in there. Maybe it was the week before that. Could have been. Looking at her makes me hungry. Don't say that. At least, not around her. Rin turns to look at me blankly as if she's not sure why I reproved her. She doesn't acknowledge understanding any more than before, so I give up at this point. So do you want to go eat dinner then? No, not yet. Rin has turned her hungry gaze back to the wall, looking slightly more energetic, or at least slightly less lethargic than she did before. It's as if the wall is an opponent she has to vanquish, something she must overcome before she can indulge in dinner. As to the feeling I get, a weird sense of empathy overcomes me and makes me smile a little to myself. For all her oddity, Rin is pretty cool after all. I'll be going anyway. Have fun. Rin has already grasped a brush and is dipping it into fresh paint, so of course she can't hear me anymore, or doesn't answer anything if she does. Adhering to the nurse's nagging voice in the back of my head, I set my alarm clock to wake me up early enough to go jogging again. I made a promise that I'm going to keep it, and that dog next door is barking again. Does he hear me talking? Is that why he only barks when I start recording? Besides, Emmy is bound to rat on me if I don't show up. But it's not all that bad. My morning alarm goes off and I flail about uselessly for a while until I remember that I decide to give morning runs another shot. I don't know if this is my greatest idea, but I'm determined to keep going. How can you just get up and go for a run? I need like an hour to prepare to just get out of bed. This is about my health after all. Sure, things haven't been great lately for me, but that hasn't made existence so intolerable that I'm not going to try everything I can to stay healthy. Besides, it's all about asserting some kind of control over this thing, right? If I can manage that, well, I can manage anything. At least that's what I keep telling myself. Once again, it would appear that I'm not alone in my run. Emmy has apparently been here for some time. Looks like she's already worked up a good sweat. Just when the hell did she come down here anyway? Oh, it's you. I'm surprised to see you again. Why's that? Well, not many people actually manage to come back for a second try. She frowned, seemingly annoyed by a passing thought. Like the rest of the track team, for instance? Still, it was only supposed to be on a volunteer basis, so it's not that big a shock. And I guess it's pretty early in the morning. I shrug, and suddenly it appears she's forgotten what she's talking about. The frown disappears entirely, and she seems to snap back to her previous train of thought. So, come on, then. What? You're here to run again, right? Well, yes. So, come on. I find myself suddenly grabbed and yanked onto the track. Things seem to be set on mirroring yesterday's run. That is, I seem to be struggling, while Emmy moves with an effortlessness that I find enviable. It's incredibly bothersome to be so easily worn out. I know I should be patient, work towards things gradually, but it's difficult to stay positive about this. We're on the track and start on our second lap. Emmy seems to have grown impatient, keeping pace with me, and begins to pull away. This is where I gave out yesterday. Will I be able to do more? Well, let's save. Create new save state. Okay. Well, if I go for it, Emmy might think that's, admirable. And I don't care for Emmy. She's too cheerful in my eyes, so let's just take it easy. I let Emmy go with her own pace, and she doesn't show mercy, pulling half a lap ahead of me in an instant. I don't blame her. I mean, it's not as if I'm really pulling up any sort of real fight out here, is it? Instead, I'm just running at a steady pace, which is what I should be doing, right? There's no need to go pushing my limits at this stage of the game. God, is this even worth it? As we finish the second lap, I break off again. Emmy keeps going, and it almost seems to me that she's disappointed. Good. Well, that's stupid. I don't have anything to prove to her. Come to think of it, I got nothing to prove to myself either. I'm just fine the way I am. And what I'm not is a runner. This is probably a bad idea. Maybe there's something else I can do instead of this. Yeah, swim. Well, didn't they say there was a pool? Getting up this early sucks anyway. There's got to be some other way to keep healthy. Walking, maybe. Nice afternoon walks. Yeah, that sounds good. Running isn't for me. I wave to Emmy and head back to my room. I'll think of something else later. Back in my room, the first thing I see is the familiar row of medication bottles lined up on top of my dresser, and it makes me depressed as usual. It's snowing. I thought I was okay. I thought I had made my peace with this thing, gotten over it. But what I really did, I allowed myself to forget that I have a problem. Being here really reminds me of the reality, and trying to fight against it just hurts. Reflecting on it is only going to do so much. I've done this before, for months. It seems like it's time to get over it. If I allow myself to forget that my life is definitely not going to be as long as those of others, I won't get anywhere. My life may be different from others, but it is a life in progress. That is how I'll rationalize it. I down the usual handful of pills, trying to push the sudden dreary feeling out of my head. Then I prepare to head out to class early as usual. As I step into the hallway, I notice Kenji coming out around the hallway corner, stealthily making his way over to his room with a large bag. As he sneaks past me soundlessly like a ninja hiding in plain sight, I call out to him. Hey. He jumps at the sound of my voice. Oh, hey man, I didn't notice you there. I'm really tired. I think it's more like you didn't see me, but that's not the issue. Where have you been? This early? Shopping? No, I wasn't shopping. Sometimes I have to visit the math teacher. Yeah, I figured it would be a good idea to find out when the next exam is, since he tells you in advance if you want. So then, what's in the bag? I thought I'd go shopping while I was out. You did go shopping then. I thought I'd go shopping while I was outside. I need supplies to continue the fight against the vast feminist conspiracy. Okay. I thought you didn't go outside. I wear a hat now. Oh, that works. Oh, I decided not to point out that he is not wearing a hat. An awkward silence settles between us, and then Kenji breaks it by pushing his door open slowly, releasing a creaking sound into the air that only makes the moment seem more awkward. He sets the bag down inside his room and then closes the door. I'm surprised you went out of your way to find out a test date. Trying to take advantage of an opportunity to study is pretty diligent. I never study. Oh. I just want to know what the next test date was. I'm still going to take it, duh. I need to know so I know what day I can't afford to skip class. He usually sends out updates on that crap by phone, so I have to step out and check up on it. And why do you have to go out when you can just get on the phone? I don't carry a phone. What do you mean you don't carry a phone? You mean you just leave it at home? No, I don't use phones. I don't have a phone. Phones? I have no phone. Why don't you have a phone? How can you not have a phone? No phone at all? No phone. I just don't like phones. Actually, I'm kind of scared of them. I don't know why. I think it's some kind of repressed trauma. But basically, when I hear a phone, I get nervous. It's my darkest secret. I have two theories on it. Either I have some fear of receiving undefined, ominous, life-altering doom call, or I was beaten with a phone in the past. Beaten so badly I can't remember it. Beaten in the head. Well, where else could I get beaten with a phone that would make me unable to remember it? The ass? Unexpectedly illogical. I feel very depressed now. Sensing this conversation is more or less over, Kenji opens his door again and prepares to head inside. Yeah, I'm going to sleep, dude. Have a good one. Class is going to start in like 20 minutes. I already did some today. Too tired to go to school. Hey, need some lip balm? I accidentally bought two because I thought the store had started selling individual AA batteries. Thanks, but no thanks. Whatever, man. He swiftly enters his lair, finally letting me go to class. For a change, I'm not among the first to come to the morning class. Instead, almost everyone else seems to be here already. I recognize most of my class by their faces now, though the names escape me still. Class goes on lazily. I think I'm starting to get into the rhythm of the school. I've even stopped worrying about taking notes and being overly attentive. The first days I was pretty high-strung in class. Muto finishes his lecture about electricity early, but continues without a pause about the festival. So, as you know, the festival is on the day after school. I hope everyone's projects are going to be successful this year. Have a good time, but also come Sunday. Please keep the meaning of this festival in your minds. Games and fried food. Everyone bursts out in laughter, and so do I. Yes, thank you, Mikado. What I meant was the remainder of his sentence is buried beneath the ring of the lunch bells, and everyone starts packing their things. Mikado deliberates for a second, but since almost nobody seems to pay attention anymore, he gives up and sits down. It's crowded in the hallway, or as crowded as hallways in the school probably get. Most of the students seem to be heading down for the cafeteria. Why don't you just wait in the class like you usually do? Izao, oh, I thought, oh, okay. I'm gonna make you a one-time only super extra special lunch offer. No. Emmy's Hoden-made lunchboxes and the privilege of enjoying them in private with two bombshell beauties. Her overly flirtatious sales pitch echoes in the hallway, a remarkable feat since it's full of people. Emmy strikes a very confident-looking pose as though as an attempt to one-up her own ridiculousness, puffing up her very modest chest and making the V for victory sign with her hand. Sounds delicious. What do I owe this honor of being invited? You stood there looking really lost and sad, so I thought you could use some company. That is probably the most depressing reason imaginable. So how about it? You're probably really lonely and would eat that awful cafeteria food all alone otherwise. I'm kidding. Sure, I'll have your lunch offer with pleasure. No, not with pleasure. Let's go to the roof. The roof? Why the roof? Because that's where we eat lunch. Yeah, we're anime characters. If we have to go to the roof at least once, and if I don't get up there, then she'll probably wander off, and then I just know she'll go hungry because she never packs a lunch for herself. Ooh, well. Come with me. Without answering my question or waiting for a response, she grabs me by the arm and drags me through the hallways. I attempt to make conversation on the way. Why do you have an extra lunch? Emmy smiles guiltily. Actually, it's yesterday's lunch. I slipped in a run at lunch and forgot to eat it. The stairway to the roof is a little dilapidated, but it's clearly been used recently. At the top of the stairs is a door, complete with missing padlock. I wonder who the intrepid individual was that removed the lock. Emmy shoves the door open and steps beaming into the light. Suddenly, a tall, dark stranger appears out of nowhere, standing imposingly in front of us. Emmy flinches back, almost falling back down the stairs. Eek, hello. Yeah, she scared me, Rin. Wait, isn't she? Hello. Noticing that Rin is speaking to me, Emmy looks curiously at me. You two know each other? I look confusedly at Emmy. She's that friend of yours? Rin has turned her gaze towards the clouds drifting above the school. I didn't know you knew this person, Emmy. The awkward silence lasts for only a few seconds until Emmy lets out a tiny giggle, shrugging the coincidence off. I invited his out for lunch. If you know him, that's just better. Oh, does this mean I don't get food? Or did you invite him for lunch without the lunch? Neither. I have food for 3. Nice thinking. They walk to the other end of the roof while I stay at the clock tower for a while, taking in the atmosphere. There's nobody else but us here. I guess the roof is not as popular as it is in other schools. A few rundown benches and tables are scattered around the edges, perhaps in an attempt to make the rooftop look less desolate. The small pebbles covering the roof rattle beneath our feet. I peek through the chain-link fence to take a look at the school grounds and beyond. Students are strolling in pairs and groups around the quadrangle and at the cafeteria. What the heck is a quadrangle? A few delivery trucks are driving past the school towards the convenience store nearby. Somewhere a watchdog barks at a passerby. Somehow when I look towards the town center, that small town feel strikes me very strongly, almost palpably. The hectic lifestyle of big metropolises seems so far away and foreign here. Nobody has to run to catch a bus like their life depends on it here, or get their senses overloaded by the neon lights and traffic jams. I feel surprisingly optimistic about this new life of mine, looking at my new hometown, even if it's going to be mine for only one short year. Finding out about my illness and having to move away from home all came so suddenly I haven't had time to think how I feel about it. When I step out of the shadow of the clock tower to the open, I feel warmth touching my back. The sun shines from a perfectly clear cerulean sky. A cool breeze sweeping over the rooftop makes me shiver, but only briefly. The wind carries the scent of trees and flowers, not smog and car exhaust like it used to, just a few weeks ago. Emmy settles on a bench with her Rin in tow and produces one big and two small lunchboxes from her bag. Come on, Izal, what are you waiting for? She's beckoning me to join them, making room on the already small bench. I see myself in the corner of the bench to take as little space as possible. It's pretty cramped, but somehow all three of us fit on it. Impressive view. Emmy suppresses a giggle and places a lunchbox in front of Rin, and hands another lunchbox to me. Here you go, lunch as promised. Homemade, no less. I'm impressed. Wow, this looks really good. Thanks, I make it myself when I can. I clicked on the wrong thing. Gotta click it back on the window. Conversation dies off as I said about the business of feeding myself. Taking a few bites, I glance up and notice Ring deftly opening the lunchbox and popping a forkful of food into her mouth using only her feet. Even though I've seen it before, I can't help but be impressed at her dexterity. It's also a reminder of the sort of place I am in right now. Will I ever get used to sights like this, such as this? I think I read that one wrong. I can't decide if getting used to such a thing would be a good thing or a bad thing either. Does getting used to this place mean I'm giving up on being a normal person? Or does it mean that I'm becoming more understanding about those around me? I'm distracted from my thoughts by the sight of Emmy tearing into her lunch as if it had insulted her ancestors. You seem pretty hungry. Emmy looks up, mouth half full, and swallows before nodding. A morning run always works up an appetite, which is great because then I burn through lunch pretty quickly. Helps me keep my girlish figure. What would happen if you'd lose it? Would you become a man? I nearly choke on my lunch, trying not to laugh. It's a figure of speech. Does your figure have to run in the mornings too? Do you always talk like this? Talk like what? Like what? I think that answers my question. Never mind. So, I started to think of small talk and settle on the obvious question. How'd you two meet? Rin seems content to let Emmy answer the question. Someone in the housing department thought that we'd complement each other well, so we were assigned rooms next to one another. Complement each other? Like shoes and a suit. Huh? Emmy giggles at my confusion. Put us together and we've got all our limbs, get it? Ah. So I started helping Rin get ready in the mornings, and that was that. I mean, you can't help someone get dressed every morning and not get along. I see. Rin chooses this moment to interject. I have trouble with shirts. Yeah, I'd assume so. Right, that seems fairly obvious. Really? Kind of? This isn't helping, but at least Emmy seems to find the whole thing funny. That combined with the fact that Rin is genuinely curious makes me feel slightly better and yet confused. I mean, you've got no arms, so putting on a shirt seems like one of those things that would be difficult. You know what? I'm just gonna stop talking now. It'll save me a lot of trouble in the long run. Rin nods in what I suspect is meant to be a sage manner. I see. The conversation dies as I turn my attention back to my lunch. It's really quite good. Emmy finishes her lunch first and makes a contented noise. Ah, that was good. As she busies herself with cleaning up her lunch, Rin speaks up. I'm thirsty. Oh, I almost forgot about that, sorry. With a flourish, she reaches into her bag and removes a trio of juice boxes. She tosses me one that appears to be cranberry juice, one to Rin that appears to be some kind of strawberry milk, complete with a pink color scheme, and keeps equally pink, boxes some kind of fruit punch for herself. Rin dexterously stabs her straw through the top of her box and begins to drink. Once again, I'm impressed by how flexible she is, but this time I keep my comment to myself. Somehow I don't think either Emmy or Rin are the sorts of people who to think twice about the way they work around their particular disabilities. Rin especially so. Indeed, she gives off the impression of being entirely unaware that she's missing any limbs at all. Whether or not that's a conscious decision is another matter. She's probably just got used to it. I'm honestly not sure. So, Zhao, how do you like it up here? It's quite nice, actually. I like high places for the view. Thanks for inviting me up here. And for the lunch, too. Emmy grins a 1,000-watt grin, pleased by my response, I suppose. No problem. Feel free to eat with us next time, too, okay? I won't make you a lunch, but you can bring your own up here. No lunch service? I don't know. Emmy looks mock offended, trying to take advantage of my good nature. That was obviously a joke. The nerve! She giggles. Oh. Well, if that's your answer, I guess Rin and I will just keep eating lunches all alone. I'm suddenly assaulted by the most heart-rending puppy dog eyes I've ever seen as Emmy pouts. Kidding? I was kidding. I'd love to eat at lunch up here again. Good location and the company's okay, too. Emmy frowns a bit at my declaration of okay, but she seems happy enough that I've accepted her invitation. Guess this makes us friends now. Or at least acquaintances. The lunch bell rings, signaling a return downstairs. Rin, you didn't finish your lunch again. I wasn't that hungry. If you don't eat more, you're gonna fade away. Rin shrugs as if this is an acceptable risk. Come on, we better get going. The three of us head down the stairs together. The afternoon class passes. Once again, I find myself without a plan for something to do after school, so I head to the library to return a couple of books I finished reading. Walking inside, I see there are about as many students here as they were on Tuesday, all the more evident from the almost total silence enveloping the room. As I drop the books I'd borrowed into the return slot on the counter, Yuko suddenly pops up from behind. I'm quite startled from the bang they made as they hit the trolley next door. Sorry, Yuko, didn't mean to startle you. No, that's fine. It happens a lot. I'm used to it by now. Can I help you? It's okay, I think. I know where everything is. Thanks anyway. Suppose I'll grab another book or two while I'm here. There's not much else to do. After reading so much during my stay in the hospital, it's becoming a hard habit to break. I wander down the fiction section towards the back of the library, scanning the bookshelves for anything that catches my eye. As I do, I look over to the corner where Hanako had been the last time I was there, not really expecting anything to come of it. Surprisingly, though, she's there, absorbed completely in a fairly thick book. I decided against intruding on her like last time and get back to finding reading material. After an indiscernible amount of time spent perusing the aisles, I finally decide on a couple of books to get and slide them off the shelf. With a minimum of fuss, I quickly walk over to the counter, check out my books, and pop them into my bag as I walk out. By the time I leave the main building, sunset isn't too far away. A small trickle of students remain, but the majority have left, presumably to their homes and dorms. Guess I need to buy some supplies. I can't live off cafeteria food and eating out for my entire stay here. As I leave for the gate, I make a few loud stretches to try and stave off the tiredness that's accumulated over the week. After passing through and rounding the corner, though, I see a solitary figure walking downhill towards the small town below. The color of her hair and tapping of her cane are unmistakable. Quickly, I walk up to her, which seems to catch her attention without a word needing to be said. Hi, Lilly. She takes a moment to place the voice, slightly adjusting her head to face a bit more towards the source of my voice as she does so. Izao? Yep, that's me. Seems to have a good memory for voices. The fact that she can actually remember is a pleasant surprise. Good evening. What brings you here? Once again, she gives us a polite bow, and once again I reply in kind before realizing I needn't do so. Just going into town, you? My, what a coincidence. Doing the same thing, huh? I usually go shopping on Fridays. She pauses for a moment, suddenly looking a little lost. That said, Hanako usually comes into town with me. Not lost, but worried. The two do seem to be keep pretty close tabs on one another. It's kind of surprising that Hanako would just forget Lilly like that. I noticed her reading in the library. She probably just got caught up in a book. She lets out a small sigh of relief. Thank you, she has a habit of doing that. An avid reader? Alright, she doesn't like being around crowds of people, so reading away from everyone lets her relax a bit. Although she probably didn't intend it, I can't help but grimace as I recall my first meeting with her. Hardly wanting to bring it up, I remained silent as we quietly continued down the quiet road. Tack, 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 tack. With the road bereft of cars and the students of Yamaku increasingly far behind us, the quiet rustling of the leaves and the measured tapping of Lily's cane against the sidewalk are all that can be heard. It's kind of nice, especially compared to the hustle and bustle where I used to live. Before I know it, I've relaxed so much that a loud yawn escapes before I can control it. Tired? Yeah, I've been running ragged these past few days. That's an understatement to be sure. Transferring to a different school would be bad enough, but nothing like this. Well, hopefully everything should settle down for you. The festival's got everyone in a spin right now, and you've been plopping right in the middle of things. For a moment I hesitate, but given her apparent tolerance for frankness, I decide to give my full thoughts. I guess Yamaku's kind of different, though. I mean, the formalities surrounding everything, the isolation around it, not to mention the most obvious difference. Kind of a whole different mindset, I suppose. I'll get used to it, though, in time. She gives a matter-of-fact nod, apparently pleased with my answer. Feels almost as if she's included me in the flock of students she's shepherding, along with the class 3-2 and Hanako. Well, not that I mind. It's nice to get the thoughts off my chest in any case. Looking on the bright side, she could see it as a chance for a new beginning. You should cherish the ability to make new friends. That's optimistic. Nonetheless, it's good to have positive attitude about such things, I suppose. Drink break. I talk so much in this game. I had to drink a lot. Guess that's a good take on it. Walking on down the road, she seems to become somewhat unsettled. Before I can ask what's on her mind, she seems to collect herself and speak up about something else. So, where in town are you going? It's actually a pretty good question. I come in to buy food, but the layout of the place is still totally foreign to me. I had intended to just wander around and see what I could find, but with sunset already approaching and nightfall not too far away, that doesn't seem very wise. I'm gonna have to ask her for directions. Again. I was just gonna get some food, but now that you mention I don't really know the way. Well, no, this is quite lucky. I was just about to go to the convenience store myself. Looks like I'll be in your care again, then. Thanks. Together we walk to the store. My pace is carefully slowed to remain beside her. Compared to my usual walking pace, hers is quite a bit slower. Not that it's without reason. Oh, it has the same color scheme as like 7-Eleven. After what couldn't be more than several minutes, I catch sight of our objective. This town really is pretty small. Without further ado, we make our way inside with a greeting from the counter. Mind if I tag along with you? Usually Hanako would help me, but seeing as she's not here. It takes a moment before I realize what she means. Considering she wouldn't be able to read any of the labels, shopping without any help would be a big pain for her. That said, I can't shake the feeling she had had this idea since I was coming here. Sure, it'd be my pleasure. I grab 2 well-used red baskets from the red stack beside the entrance, handing one to Lilly. She lays it on the ground, putting her school bag in, retracting her cane and sliding it through the basket's handles before picking it up in her right hand. Wait, she doesn't use her cane. Before I can complete the thought, she comes beside me and pinches the cuff on my uniform with her slender fingers. Is this alright? Ah, sure. I have no reason not to accept. I can think of worse things than shopping with a pretty girl holding on to me, even if it is out of necessity. We navigate our way through the store, with not one of the occasional passing customers seeming to bat an eyelid. Considering how close Yamaku is, I guess seeing students from there must be entirely normal for the local residents. As we reach each aisle, I quickly check with Lilly and find out what she needs. I grab it along with what I'm looking for and put our items into the respective basket. I guess it's the same routine she and Hanako follow every Friday. Right, all that's left is the bread, and that should be my shopping done. Do you need anything else, Lilly? No, this should be everything. Off we go, then. With a quick side trip to the bakery section, we make our way to the registers. The line, thankfully, is almost non-existent. It's not long before we both paid for our food and are out the door. As Lilly retrieves her cane and extends it to full length, I waste a minute looking upwards at the night sky while holding both our bags. How long were you in there? The sun was still up when you went in. For a moment I try to make clouds with my breath, but the summer's heat doesn't seem to cooperate. Eventually she rights herself, taking a quick stretch before taking her bag and leaving me to my 2. You tired as well? Festival preparations have been complete chaos. Shizune breathing down my neck doesn't exactly help things either. She's only trying to get everything organized, better now than later, right? I suppose. I'm going to enjoy relaxing in town tomorrow, that's for certain. I guess the festival preparations must be taking their toll on both of them. We walk out into the quiet street, talking between ourselves as we carry our bags of food and supplies from the store. Wait, what's that? I notice a very distinctive figure making its way towards us, silhouetted by the street lamps. For a second I think it's another male student from my class, but as he, or should I say she, gets closer I recognize her quickly. Rin, what are you doing out here so late? Rin. Lilly perks her head, looking as if she's trying to focus on listening more keenly. It suddenly comes to me that I should probably interpret the scene for her. It's Rin, Tezuka, I think your last name, from our school. She stiffens at the name and gives a complicated-looking expression, something like a forced fusion of composed smile and painful cringe. Ah, I understand. I guess Lilly knows Rin, too. Rin turns to look at us, looking terribly out of it. I'm not entirely sure if she recognizes either of us, or at least she doesn't acknowledge it if she does. She looks like a zombie or a statue of a zombie. But slowly some symptoms of understanding seem to lighten in her dark eyes. This is something she must react to. Rin blinks once, very thoroughly. Hello. There's an awkward pause, everyone waiting for someone else to say something. What are you doing here this late? I was wondering about that myself too, just now. Some people asked that just before. I assumed they were wondering the same. I didn't know. They didn't know either. I asked. That's why I'm wondering. So that was pretty much it. It's a murder mystery without a murder. They were going that way. She turns facing to her right in order to demonstrate the direction of other people, went as if that was important, then rotates back like a mechanical puppet in one of those overly complicated clockworks. For a person who gives an impression of being the quiet type, Rin really does use a lot of words to say things that don't need a lot to be said. I'm going to save right here because there hasn't been a CG yet, so I might have to use the... I shouldn't save on that one. I'll just save over make a new one and save over it next time. There hasn't been a CG in this part yet, so I might have to use like this image for the thumbnail. Unsure if she's finished. Did I read that last one? For a person who gives the impression of being the quiet type, Rin really does use a lot of words to say things that don't really need to be said. Unsure if she's finished, I say nothing. Neither does Lilly, who seems equally robbed of words for the time being. I think that both of us are in fact just scared that any response might provoke her to continue. Our stupefied lack of reaction doesn't faze Rin at all. She keeps looking at us expectantly, a calm hint of expression on her blank face. She seems to be that kind of person, always so relaxed. As if bull elephant grade sedatives were flowing in her veins in the place of blood. Do you have amnesia? I don't recall you having anything of the sort, though. No, I don't think it's that. The other passerbys are probably just worried, though. You do look really lost, the way you're standing in the middle of the street. Oh, I see. Maybe I should have taken some other kind of pose in that case. Pondered for a while whether I should chase this angle further or give up for the sake of my own sanity. I decided on the latter. Seems that most of the time it's better to not read too deeply into what Rin is babbling about. Talking with Rin is like playing chess with a supercomputer. It does seemingly completely random moves as if to mock everything you know about chess. It's like that, except with human interaction. And even if I win, it feels like losing. Damn, just like Kenji said, even when I win, I lose. Is it the power of the girls of Yamaku? I push this thought aside as it's too dangerous to consider further. It's probably just Kenji's anti-female propaganda getting to me during a moment of weakness. Yeah, maybe taking another pose might have worked. So anyway, you have no idea what you're doing here. She frowns, looking extremely displeased at either my question, its consequences, or the answer she's about to give. I do. Some idea. I can't really tell what kind of an idea. That sounds like progress, at least. Lily sounds as if she's spotted an opening for some kind of discernibly normal conversation. I can't say I share her optimism. Yes, there is some, definitely. The rest will come later. I'm sure of it. I always have reasons. The ensuing silence kills Lily's hopes all too visibly. That didn't last long. Rin's, as far as I can tell, unbased assurance aside, what should be done? We could just leave her to her own devices, whatever those are, but it's late, and I don't think we'll be getting any thanks if Rin is found standing here in the middle of the night. Which she probably will, and she manages to remember what she's doing here in the first place. As for me trying to guess what might have been going on in her mind when she decided to embark on this adventure, the chances seem to be on par with winning the lottery. Several times in a row. Lily is oddly quiet too. I'd appreciate some support from the sidelines here, especially if she's more familiar with Rin than I am. But it can't be helped. It seems her familiarity with Rin is exactly why she's staying subdued. So I assume you are going somewhere, not coming back to the school. Any idea where? Her eyes widen in shock, and she jolts back in a somewhat artificial way, making it seem like an act rehearsed for situations like this. Are you a mind reader? Is that your disability? How unique. No, what? Why would you think that? You knew what I was doing. It was just an educated guess. We walked the same street in the other direction just before to get to the store. If you were going to school, we would have met you on the way. Oh. She looks a little disappointed. Like Kenji, Rin appears quick to jump to completely irrational conclusions. Maybe it's something in the water here. I make a mental note to stock up on soft drinks. You know, that is the second time this week that someone asked if I was a mind reader. Do I really give off that impression? Rin shrugs her shoulders, which is all the answer I get. You know, maybe you should come with us back to the school. Lily interjects as I am about to further debunk my alleged mind-reading capabilities. She sounds rather concerned, the paper-thin smile on her face badly disguising that fact. Maybe she came to the same conclusion as I did. For everyone's sake, I decided to let the mind-reading topic drop, as it's entirely inane anyway. Yeah, Lily's right. If you can't remember, there's no point staying here. Rin considers this rather simple deduction for a moment, then nods. Okay. We start towards the school again, having wasted way more time than necessary with this episode. Rin walks along the edges of the sidewalk in a rhythmic way, looking like a mix of a sleepwalker and rope dancer, while Lily keeps one hand on my shoulder, tapping me at the ground with her cane. Tap, step, step, tap, tap, step, step, step. Aside from that and a few fragmented beginnings of conversation, it's quiet, quite apart from the relaxing one into town at that. So how's the mural going? We're going to get bad luck, never talk about works in progress. I'm sure it'll be wonderful. Bad luck. She doesn't care to talk about it. Lily's politeness feels out of place for the first time. The hill Yamaku rests on top of is surprisingly steep going uphill. We slow the pace, but I still feel my pulse rising and breathing getting heavier. Almost there, I can see the gates already. More than that, though, I notice that Lily's hand slightly tightens on my shoulder, and interpreting as a gesture that she wants to ask something, I speak up. Anything wrong, Lily? I resist the urge to say aside from our traveling companion, but only just. For a moment she seems to debate whether she should even bring it up, but goes for it anyway. Is everything alright? Alright, what do you mean? The fact I can't interpret her incredibly vague question puts her off for a second. It's just you seem unusually tired, I guess. Now she brings it up. I notice my breathing is strangely heavy. The uphill walk has already done a job on me. You said your pulse was rising. Lily noticed that all too quickly. Alright, well, let's just put... Okay, well, I can't save over that one. I guess I'll save over that next time. Or just delete it entirely. This seems awfully rude, so... It's alright, I just need to catch my breath. My condition isn't the best these days. Oh. Is something that is related to being transferred here? I mean... She cuts herself off rather abruptly, maybe realizing that she's being a bit intrusive. Her instincts are sharp, though, and while I don't like the subject, it's not like I should lie about it. If it's Lily, I don't think I mind. I'm just a little weak for the time being. Hanako said you look fairly healthy, so I naturally thought. Lily doesn't finish her sentence again, letting it trail off with a measure of concern. As she furrows her brow, Lily's uncomfortable expression spurs me to say at least something to ease her feelings. It's surprising she's as flustered, considering her straightforward attitude with her own blindness. She must know that not all share her own comfort with such things. No, it's okay. I have a pretty, I guess the best way to say it would be messed up heart. Arrhythmia. I had a bad heart attack a while ago because of it and spent most of the spring in a hospital. Ended in Yamaku on doctor's orders. She silently nods her head in acknowledgement. My answer, though, only seems to make Lily furrow her brow even further. She doesn't seem to quite know how to react, given we don't really know each other that well. I can't really fault her for it, given I have the exact same reaction. While I do want to assuage her concern, I don't really want to dwell on this either. Don't worry about it. I try to offer a reassuring smile, but then I realize the futility. Without knowing this, Lily smiles at me reassuringly, but doesn't say anything further. Alright, well, I'm going to end it right here, because it's been a while. There has been no CG, so I'm just going to have to use some random scene like this for the thumbnail. Anyway, thank you for watching, and goodbye.